International question! International question! International question! Anonymous, Washington, D.C.
Nice. Our nation's capital.
Our unrepresented capital.
The District of Columbia.
Okay. Dear Gabby and Allison, I have been a long-time follower and listener, and I really appreciate all you two do. I am so happy to see all the content you both are creating right now and listen to JBU religiously. Hashtag bisexual wink.
Woo!
I'm sure you two get lots of emails, but I thought I would give it a shot on some advice I am seeking. My question, how do you approach being in a long-term relationship with someone that has a different financial background?
Oh, Lord. Goodbye. I don't want to talk about this.
TLDR. My partner and I have been together for 4 years. We met freshman year of college and both recently graduated. He is kind, patient, communicative, and I really love him and being around him. We are currently long distance due to my job and him still being in grad school, but I have faith we will both be able to relocate in the next few years. So far, we get to see each other regularly, so it is going well. We are both 23 years old, and this is my first serious relationship. While I am not particularly money savvy, I am lucky enough to come from a family that gave me financial literacy. I currently have a full-time job and was able to graduate college debt-free, a huge privilege, I know. I am in the process of learning how to save, invest, etc. Shout out Bad with Money Pod.
Oh, who hosts that? Me! It's my show.
It is. I knew you'd love that. My partner has a different life experience. He has student debt, not a lot of financial literacy because of how he was raised. His family doesn't believe in discussing money with him, and generally faces some money anxiety. As I've been getting serious about my own finances and the relationship, I have found myself worrying about his lack of interest in understanding his own financial future. I know that my position in understanding mine is a product of my privilege, but I can't help but wonder what our future may look like if we differ on this. By lack of interest, I mean that he has mentioned he doesn't really know what his debt situation is, and because he is still in school, he doesn't have savings or income, but mainly relies on his parents' financial decision-making. I already have some relationship anxiety. I often question how you know if you're with the right person, etc. But I've been working through that, so my current anxiety feels more practical. Is it my place to opinionate on his financial situation, encourage a plan, or would my unsolicited thoughts be inappropriate? I know we are both young, but we have also been together for years, so I wonder where I should stand. I'm not sure when it is the right time to get serious about a relationship. Is this just capitalism getting to me? Thank you so much. Your podcast has really helped me in times of need and also in all times. P.S. Currently saving for a dog and planning to start fostering this year.
Wow. It's really hit all the parts of things that we love.
I
Shouting
know.
out my podcast, fostering dogs.
You take this one.
Okay. So here's the thing. My show is called Bad with Money, right? And when people see that, they think that that means people who are low income or poor or people who don't have money, right? And over the years I've done the show, I've realized that Bad with Money does not mean people struggling with money necessarily. It means people who don't take an interest in what's going on with their money. It means so you can be incredibly rich and still be bad with money. A great example of that is in Rachel Sherman's book, Uneasy Street, where she talks about really wealthy people in New York City and how, you know, this one woman in the book is like, how did I spend $65,000 this month? That's so weird. And their family's like, you know, billionaires, millionaires. And that I would categorize that person as bad with money, right? Even though they blink and $65,000 leaves their bank account. So the thing is that like, is it a problem that he comes from a background with no financial literacy? Slightly. Is it a problem that he's uninterested? Yes. Because the thing that screwed me over the most as a person who does come from like a low middle class background, and not even that, just parents who also seem uninterested in learning about money and financial literacy and also passing that on to me in any way. The problem is burying your head in the sand. The problem is I never looked at my student loans. I knew they existed, never looked at how much they were, never looked at the interest. I would get bills in the mail, throw them away. I didn't want to know. And that is tied to anxiety for sure. The first time that I actually sat down and went through my finances, it took 3 days. 3 whole days. And I sobbed the entire time, hysterically cried. And I still cry when I have to deal with stuff like that. I still, you know, it's getting so much better because it's a muscle memory. You practice. You start like opening bills and reading what they say, and words and phrases become more familiar to you, or you look at your accounts and you can like make sense of what they say. I didn't know really anything about interest rates. I start looking at my student loans and I realize, oh, this one actually has like 14% interest versus this one actually has 3% interest. Interest was not a word I really knew what it meant at all before I started doing that. But now, like 6 years later, when I look at something, I can say, okay, here's the interest and that's what it means. Because over time, the things that were foreign and scary and you hadn't really seen them that much or engaged with them that much suddenly become more of a part of your life. And you know, even the word investing, even knowing that your retirement is not saved, quote unquote, it's invested, which is what screwed a lot of people over in the financial crisis in 2008. They didn't realize that their money wasn't just put away in an account. Their money was actually being invested in the stock market. So there's like a lot of words that are really scary. So for him, if he's never encountered anything like that, if he's never heard any of these words, I didn't even know the login to some of my accounts. So I can understand for him getting started when he has no familial background in that and when he's still in school. I totally get that it's like you're frozen. You can't even start. You can't even think about it. You can't even engage with it because it just seems so overwhelming. But the big red flag is you have to. You must. Yes, we live in a capitalist society. We live in a corporatist society. Yes. Unfortunately, within the system that we live in, you can't just ignore it. You can work politically against that kind of thing, absolutely. But you still have to, in your personal situation, engage with what is happening with you money-wise. So the problem is not that he has these problems. The problem is that he's completely uninterested. And let me tell you, relying on your parents when you know your parents don't have financial literacy is a real gamble. And I mean that literally. So I think the other part of this question, which perhaps Allison is more, has more experience to answer, is like, when do you step in your partner's flaws? You know what I mean? I think there is a world in which he completely resents this. When you are the person who has less money, Mal and I have this weird thing where I make a higher income than Mal, straight up. But I don't have parental support and Mal does. So it evens out in this way where like I pay my share and Mal pays their share. And I truthfully, it took a while to get to like, it's okay that I pay 2/3 and Mal pays 1/3, even though in my head sometimes I'm like, but I don't have, my income is higher, but I don't have, so like it is a very hard thing in relationships. And until social media became more popular, money was the number one reason for divorce.
Just between us.